I love them all.
Look on my pillow, that's her.
Okay, now it says we're live, so we shall see. It also says there are 18 people on here. If somebody in the chat could just let me know that they're seeing things that are relevant to this event, then I'll check that the chat is also working before we start. Okay, I'm getting a text from my support team that things are good. I'll turn that sound off. And let's see. Okay, looks good. Padfolio is saying. And we're about a minute away from going from the start.
Perfect.
So it looks like all is good. Yes,
When I come over, could we switch sides? Then you'll be on my good side and I can see you,
of course.
okay?
I will go. Or yeah,
Otherwise, I'm gonna have to.
Do you want-
really
do you wanna
turn
switch
my
now?
head and hurt myself.
You want to switch now?
sure.
Okay. Cool.
I can switch.
See, I only got one eye that works. So
My phone is off, so nobody will hear
on my
me.
Good side.
Nobody will hear us.
Oh, that was not the one I was trying to get.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
This is high-tech shit we live in, and just this new age of electronic magic.
Okay, people are coming in. This is good. Hey, hi, Greensboro, Robert Holder, Padfolio, Donald Hawk.
Yeah, Donald.
Hey.
Hello from Minnesota. What's going on in the great state of Minnesota, peeps? How's everybody doing? Can you hear us okay? Are we sounding okay? Do we look okay? Don't be too harsh on that. Don't be too harsh. It's Las Vegas, and we had a night. Mr. Lee. Thank you. Appreciate that, Donald or Danelle. Hello from London. Okay, great, Robert. Appreciate it. Are we good?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, bar none, we're getting ready to get this party started. Hi, I'm radio host Mighty Quinn. I am the host of Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio. Yep, we play the blues, we play the rock, we play with Mr. Walter Trout. He is the man. We are coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada, and we are at the Big Blues Bender 2025. Walter played last night. He literally destroyed the crowd. It was just a fabulous show, and we're having a blast. The weather's perfect. I get to hang out with Mr. and Mrs. Trout. This is Marie. So I'm going to introduce them. We played the album Sign of the Times in its entirety just before we did the Q&A. It sounded great. And if you missed it, shame on you, but we're going to give you a second opportunity. We're playing it right after the Q&A. Stay tuned in. Go to waltertroutbluesrockradio.com or tgrn.net. You'll find us. The album is going to be played in its entirety again, top to bottom, no commercial interruptions, nothing but Walter Trout. Are you guys ready? Are you excited? You should be. This is a big deal. I'm going to introduce the man himself. You guys get ready. Give him some great questions. He's all fired up for you. So YouTube land, make some noise. Give it up for the one, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Walter Trout.
Hey. And while Walter Trout, the legend, is making his way,
Here I am, baby. Okay.
All right, all good.
Let's get this party started. Hi there.
Can you move over just a little bit?
Which way?
That way. There we go. Now I
We're
can
looking
read
pretty
this
good
menu.
there.
We're looking.
Hello, everyone.
All things considered.
Here in this electronic magic world in which we reside.
Hey, I see some questions are starting to come in, and there's people from Sweden, Denmark,
Wow.
Switzerland, Germany. Okay, let's start with this one since it's album specific, and we want to get into talking about the new album, and it just came in. It's from Mr. Lee Friend. What was your favorite song on the new album?
It's funny. It depends on what day you ask me. I really like them all. I'm really happy with this album. People used to ask me, what's your favorite album of the 32? And I always say the new one. But this time I can honestly say that this is my favorite work I've ever done. This morning, the label released a video of a song on there called I Remember. And I was in my room there and I watched the video a couple times. And right now that's my favorite song on the record, but tomorrow it could be something else. And I'm just really pleased with all of them. I don't think there's a filler on there.
Mm. And we're getting some good response also. People like the album. That's great. Okay, the story behind Blood on My Pillow, Pam King is asking.
That I must say is, my songwriting partner here, Marie, has co-written almost half of this record with me. And she handed me a set of lyrics and she said, this would make a great slow minor blues. And I looked at it and I was trying to figure how to phrase it. And then she sang it to me. She said, well, here's how it goes. And so that is basically the lyrics are hers. She gave them to me and we made it into a minor blues. And I'm very happy with it. I think it came out great. And of course, when she goes Blood on My Pillow, that is a metaphor for heartache, because it's a blues tune. Hi, Pam King.
Okay, and Paris, excellent. All right, so maybe talk a little bit about. I remember since it's just released today as a lyric video, and also it's your current favorite track
For today.
Yeah.
I remember I did not want it to be a nostalgia tune. I didn't want it to be about the good old days, because to me, the good old days sometimes weren't really all that good. I think we look back at stuff with kind of rose-colored glasses. And, there was a lot of times in my youth and my early life and my 20s and 30s that were not so good. But what that tune is about is, and I have to say I'm 74 now, and I've seen a lot of my friends who are of my age and my generation who seem like they almost kind of give up and they lose their joy of being alive and their excitement of being here, and that feeling like they still want to have a purpose and still want to be alive and vital. And it pains me to watch them do that. And it's basically trying to say, yeah, your body can get old, but your mind and your heart don't have to. That joy of life, that excitement you had when you were 20 years old and your life was ahead of you, you can hold on to that. Don't let that go, because that is what will keep you young in here and in here.
All right. Pete Feenstra is asking.
Hey, Pete.
What was the thinking, if any such, about behind self-producing?
That's another, again, my manager here, co-writer and manager, when it was time to do a record, she came to me and said, look, you've done 15 albums with a great producer, Mr. Eric Korn, an amazing producer. That's why I did 15 records with him, which is half of my solo career. But she goes, why don't you step out, man? Try something different. Let's go out on a limb and see what happens. And she convinced me, and I thought, well, let's give it a shot. And it kind of put me, I really had to step up on this one. But I also had the final say in how do I want the guitar to sound, or is that solo okay? It's okay with me. I don't have to do it again. And so that was really, let's take a gamble. Let's make a gamble and see what happens. And I think it turned out great. Hi, Pete.
So that actually ties in with this question from who had John or something like that. Which guitar did you use and what kind of pickups he loves your tone?
This entire album was done on my Delaney Walter Trout signature model. Every electric guitar track on there is my Delaney, and it's the same one I use live. And it's a beautiful guitar that Michael Delaney made for me, and it's a signature model. And it's very light, and it has Seymour Duncan pickups on it. Seymour made me some pickups. And those guitars are available. You can purchase a Walter Trout signature model at Delaney Guitars. And it's a beautiful guitar. And I must say, he came to my house in California and we took my old, beautiful Strat, the one that's on the back of the album, and he measured the neck, and so he's built a neck, which is an exact copy of the one on the old guitar. And the thing plays beautifully and sounds beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so there are some questions about amps, Mesa Boogie, or what are you using? And then also a comment about J.J. Blair's mix. That sounds fantastic.
Of course, his mix sounds fantastic. And I sent him a message this morning because I think he managed to not only do this amazing mix, but I don't know how he did it, but he gave each song its own personality. Each song has a certain vibe to it. And I don't know how he did that, but he did. He added his own magic to that record. Now, Amplifiers, 90% of the electric guitar tracks are done on my Mesa Boogie Mark IV that I use at every live gig. It goes through a 4x12 cabinet, an open back Mesa Boogie cabinet. And our incredible engineer, Thomas Ross Johansson, did such a remarkable job of recording the guitar. But I do have to say this. If I was going to self-produce, I thought maybe I want to try to get some different guitar sounds once in a while on here. So on the song No Strings Attached, I used a thing which it comes from Germany, and it's called the Blue Guitar Mercury Edition. It's built by a German guitarist named Thomas Blug. It's about this big, and it has a tube in it. It's a tube amplifier, 100 watts, but it fits in a shoebox. And I ran that through my Mesa Boogie cabinet. And don't tell anybody, but we put a Univibe on it. I actually used the pedal.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm stepping out in my old age. But and also all the guitar tracks on I Remember, all the rhythm tracks, the clean rhythm tracks and the solo were all done on that same thing, the Blue Guitar Mercury Edition. And it's an amazing, amazing little amplifier.
All right, so I want to get to a question that people posed on Facebook in advance before we get to Rob Design's question about the musicians with you, so you can talk about them. But I want to ask this question from All Man Trout 7, who asked, hello, Walter, my friend. My question, do you feel that you have grown as a songwriter more than as a guitarist since your transplant? Please explain your answer.
That's a good question, because since my transplant, I feel like I've had much more that I want to say in music. And I have actually I think this is my 7th release since the transplant. And on every one of those, I concentrated on being a songwriter. And I know I made my name in my youth as a guitar player, but these days you can go on YouTube and there's a 10-year-old playing like Eddie Van Halen, There's these technical whiz guitar players out there, and there's a million of them. And I realized instead of trying to impress people with guitar playing, I want to write songs that say something. And right now I'd like to be thought of as a songwriter who actually plays some lead guitar instead of a lead guitarist who tries to write a tune. I'm very serious about the songwriting, and that has happened much more since the transplant, because since facing death for 8 months when that happened, I feel like I have a lot more to say and a lot more that I want to get out.
It's probably also a lot more precious, right?
It is, yes. And the songs, that's really what I concentrate on now, is the songs.
So do you want to talk a little about the musicians?
The musicians on this record, it's my longtime drummer, Mike Lazier. He's been with me 17 years. Best drummer I know. Passion, power, expression. That's how that guy plays. And then I have on bass John Avila, a musical genius. He's been with so many people, we don't have time to go over it. He's been on records and toured with people like Neil Young, Bob Dylan, Joe Satriani, Eric Johnson. It just goes on and on. A musical genius, that dude. And what he added to my music on this record is incredible. And then on keyboards, I had the great Mr. Teddy Zigzag Andreatis, who also did all the keyboards on my album Ride. And I think he was also on Ordinary Madness. And he's just an incredible keyboard player. Once again, he's played with everybody. And then on High Tech Woman, Low Tech Man, whatever that's called, my buddy, the great Jimmy Vivino, came in and played live with me, and we have a little guitar duel on there. So he's the only guest on the album. The great Jimmy Vivino on High Tech Woman, or what's it called? I Need a High Tech Woman. I don't know.
I'm a low tech.
I am definitely a low tech man. And so those are the musicians, and they're all state of the art, man. And I love recording with my own band because we have a chemistry. I don't want to just get studio guys that read a chart. We have this chemistry and we play together like this. So
I saw a question here or there about that ties in with what you just said, which is about whether you record live in the studio or if there are overdubs. What's the recording process like?
I'm kind of a devotee of what I call the Bob Dylan process of recording, which is you set up in a big room, you face each other, and you basically play it live. And you get that feeling of a band playing live, playing the tunes together. And then if there's something I want to redo or somebody wants to change a little something, we'll do that. And I'll work on it. Like on I Remember, I played 3 different rhythm guitar tracks. You can hear chords coming in every once in a while. But basically, we come up with a track of each song done live. Stuff like No Strings Attached, live, one take. What's the last one? Struggle to Believe, done live, one take. That's it. Here it is. What you get, that's it.
That's the point sometimes, right?
That is the point. Yeah. I'm not trying to produce perfection here. I'm trying to produce, this is music made by humans, you know?
Well, and that's, talk a little bit about artificial. That ties in with that whole.
Well, yeah. In the age of this AI getting more and more prevalent in the world, I'm pretty scared about AI only because I'm an artist. And I even have this one page on Facebook that is just AI videos of musicians. And every day she puts up another video, and it's a person that doesn't exist singing a song that was written by AI. And I watch it just to keep up on what's going on. But every day I'm outraged by it. And it is my fervent hope that music that is made by human beings from their heart and their soul, and they are expressing emotion and trying to say something to other human beings, I hope that will never go away. But it's scary right now.
Yeah. Okay, I got completely lost in what you were saying. I forgot to.
So did I.
That was really good. Oh. Okay, to a little levity, somebody asked if I'm the inspiration for High Tech Woman. And
I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the questions there. There's a lot of good ones. The inspiration for High Tech Woman, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to do something on my phone, and I'm just going, and I'm cussing and shouting expletives. Yes. And she comes over and goes, "What is it?" And I go, and she goes, "Give me the phone." And I handed her the phone. She went, blah, blah, blah. She goes, "There you go." And I said, "My God, thank God I've got a high-tech woman because I'm a low-tech man." And I went, "Ooh, song title." And I took it from there. And that song took about 5 minutes to write.
Yeah. All right. Did you see something you'd like to?
There was one guy on here. It went past, but it said,
see if I can get it back here. This supposed high-tech woman here.
It's well, it was a dude who said, "I'm kind of starting out. And
oh yeah.
How do you get to jamming?"
Okay. I'm
There
a
it is.
starting musician stuck on the jam level. What should be my next step? Develop my own set list of first find a band to join and then learn the songs they play. That was Anatoly Sumskoy.
Okay, this is just the way I did it. You know, I have friends that go to music school and they go to Berkeley and they learn all that stuff. To me, the way I learned was from the time I was 16 or 17. I just went out and played in a bar with anybody I could find to play with. And I played whatever songs they were playing. I came up back then in cover bands, playing Beatles and Stones, and of course playing some Muddy Waters stuff, and playing Santana and all the stuff that was there. And we'd play and people would dance. But to me, it was important to learn how to play with other people. And it's great if you can find people who are better than you to play with, because then you learn and you can kind of rise up. Like when I got with Mayall and did that very first tour I did with him, and I was playing with Mick Taylor and John McVie from Fleetwood Mac, I had to rise to the occasion and I learned a lot. But also, if they're not as good as you think you are, play with them too. It's important to play with other people. And and I was always a guy that wanted to be in a band. When I was a teenager, I didn't think to myself, I want to be Jimi Hendrix. No, I thought, I want to be in the Beatles. I want to be in a band. And I want to be with these guys where we do this and we play together. And I always sought that out. So I would say go out and play with other people and play the songs that they play. And just consider it a learning experience, a way to just grow. I had a dear friend when I was a teenager who told me, because we were in a battle of the bands when we were in high school, and there was a band that was pretty awful. And we're listening, and Richard says to me, "I just learned something from that drummer." And I go, "How can you learn something from that drummer? You're 10 times the drummer he is." And he said to me, "I can learn something from every musician I hear." And he said, "I just learned something from that drummer, something that I should not ever play." And that stuck with me. You can learn something from every musician.
But that's also that organic interaction with other humans, right?
Yes.
And what that does, I believe, also to the audience that sees that. So it's not that sort of manufactured sort of perfection. I mean, there are warts when you're up there sometimes because you take a risk. And that's part of the experience of seeing where it can go, right?
You know, the warts in the music are part of being human. And that's one of the things you're not going to get with AI. Maybe there's a little tempo change, or maybe there's I hit a lot of wrong notes, don't tell anybody. But, you know, that's because I experiment as I'm playing. I'm determined to play something I've never played before. So I push myself, and sometimes it doesn't work, but I still do it. And, but that's the thing, man, is just play and play with other people.
But isn't that also something you really learn from Mayall, who throws stuff at you guys?
Oh, well, John Mayall, man. He would make these beautiful set lists because he was a graphic artist. He used to paint his own album covers and make these beautiful set lists. And you'd be up there with the set list, and you'd be at like Royal Festival Hall in London. And in the middle of the set, you're expecting the next tune, and he turns around and he goes, "Shuffle in C," and he counts to 4. And you better You better know how to play a shuffle and C, and you also better watch him because he's going to conduct. He's going to let you know with his body whether you should play loud or quiet, if there's going to be a break, and he also points at you when it's time to play a solo. So that learning to play spontaneously, and the only way you're going to learn that is playing with other people and jamming.
Question from the social media here as well. Doesn't have a name, but how are you feeling about touring with the new album? Do you have favorite songs to play live? And if so, which ones? Or do they change as well?
Well, they change as well. And because we're just starting the tour, we tried playing some of the new songs the other night in Phoenix, and that was our first time playing them. And I think they came out pretty well, but we're going to play a lot of them tonight here in Las Vegas because it's release day. And one thing is the more we play them, the better they're going to get, because we will establish that chemistry more and more as we play the songs. But it's great to go out and play new songs. It's exciting.
Oh, you've been driving me nuts. You wanted to play them for so long because the album was finished in March.
Yes, in March. And we've been sitting on it all this time. And I'm remember, but I can't. Now we can.
Yeah. And then the singles were released. Then you started playing Artificial and Sign of the Times.
Yes, exactly.
So that was good. Let's see.
What do you got here?
Somebody says they really think you miss John Mayall.
Of course, I miss John Mayall because he was not just a musical inspiration, but he was a surrogate dad to me. He became like a father to me, and he took care of me, especially in my drinking and doping days when I was out of my mind. And he put up with this insane behavior, and he helped me get sober. I'm coming up on 39 years. But every time I would see him after I got sober, I would say, John, how did you put up with me? He had two answers. I'd say, how did you put up with that insane, drunken, drugged out behavior? One time he said, there was a certain humor to it. And then one time he gave me a serious answer. He said, Walter, no matter how loaded you were always able to play the music. He goes, I don't know how you did it, but every night you got up and you played great, no matter how high you were. And then he said, if you'd have got up on stage and you were unable to play the music, I'd have sent you home the next day. So I was on, I managed to do it.
So George Lyons thinks you're a better technical guitar player after the transplant. That's an interesting comment.
Well, hey, Giorgio, how you doing, man? My old buddy of many, many years. I guess so, but I haven't concentrated on technical, because when I watch all these guys on YouTube, I realize that there's these technical wizards out there. Go on YouTube and type in Eric Johnson guitar lesson, and there's 25 guys playing better than Eric Johnson, and they're teaching, technically. And then, so I've been actually trying to play more melodic and, believe it or not, less notes, but have it say more. Plus, in July of 19, I broke this finger on my fretting hand. It doesn't bend. It's got metal bolts in it, so I can't use it. So on the last 3 albums, I've done everything with 3 fingers. And I had a guitar magazine say, oh, you have a broken finger. Are there things you can't play? And I go, yeah, there's things I can't play. They go, well, what do you do? I said, I don't play them. Look out. Mighty Quinn's over here causing a ruckus. Anyway, what do? You can't play them. I go, yeah. So I don't play them. I play what I can play, Great to hear from you, George. Love you.
He's just talking about you, I guess, on the Lions Den radio show right now, just down the street.
Yeah.
if I can comment on that with your technical playing, what I have noticed since your transplant is it really seems to be important to you that each note means something, that it's not just a matter of a technical exercise, but that it's connected to something you feel, something you want to say.
It is. And I will tell you, in my youth, even when I was with Mayall in that exalted guitar spot to play with John Mayall, even then, as a result, I think of a lot of things from my childhood. I had a lot of self-doubt. And there were times, instead of trying to play something emotional, I tried to like impress somebody. Check this out, man. And now I don't have anything to prove. I don't want to try to prove anything. I want those solos to speak to you. I want them to tell a story to you. And that really is a new thing. And it kind of freed me from feeling like I have to prove myself, So I don't feel that anymore. If I'm going to try to prove myself now, it's going to be as a songwriter.
There's been some questions about the sequence. What song you wrote first on the album?
Song I wrote first. I'm not sure. It might be Artificial. We were in Denmark, and that's what happened. I had some video on my phone. It was like some weird thing, and I told her, "Look at this, man. Can you believe this is happening?" She said, "Walter, that's AI. That's just an artificial video." And I got like, I can't tell what's real anymore. And then I went, "Ooh, wow, there's a song. Let's start with that."
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool too. And for a while we were actually talking about calling the album Artificial, but we thought, no, that's not so good.
Yeah. And I had so many artificial this, artificial that, artificial music, artificial art, all this. And I had one line, artificial blues. And she says, "No, there's going to be some blues purists out there who are going to grab onto that line, So I left that one out.
Yeah. And then I think the next one was probably the title track.
The title track happened right after we got to California. We came back to California on January 8th from Denmark.
Fires everywhere.
Yeah, during the fires. And I just sat down on the couch that day with my acoustic guitar, and I came up, for some reason, that lick of Sign of the Times just came out. And while I was playing the lick, I was going, ooh, 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 and I had the chant. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. She walked in with a stack of lyrics, said, "Here." First page of lyrics said Sign of the Times. The last line of the first verse, all around me, I hear voices of despair. And I thought, the chant and the lick. And suddenly there was the song. So, yeah, I think that was number 2. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, we have a title here. Yeah. That's going to be the title. And it gave us a focus now.
Yeah, that was an almost mysterious kind of collaboration. I loved how that came about.
Yeah, I know. Same with Hurt No More. If you've heard the song Hurt No More, that's my recovery song. There's one on every record. I can't help it. I like to talk about recovery. So I came up with a metaphor of cutting myself and hurting myself. And that's, being a junkie and a heroin addict and you're hurting yourself. And I had alcoholic. You're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting the people that love you. You're hurting those that care for you. And then that second verse is hers. I finally opened up my eyes. I saw those people that really care. I opened up my eyes and I could see them there. And so she helped me write that one, definitely. I thought I had said it all in the first verse. I had nowhere to go.
But we've had friends who are addicts and just both felt the pain of wanting to help them and realizing that we really can't. So the family and the friends and the people who are watching are also affected, and so that was a I think important element to that. So Pam, do you want to talk about No Strings Attached? She said you spoke for many of us.
Yeah, No Strings Attached was I have, over the years, whenever a couple lines of lyric or something come to me, I would write them down. And we used to get these paper itineraries with each tour that was like a little book. And I would sit in the back of the van or the bus, and a couple lines of lyric would come to me, and I'd write it in a book. And I have this whole collection of this old stuff with all these song ideas, and I was going through them, just looking through them, and there was all the lyrics of No Strings Attached written on this itinerary on the back of the page, the whole thing written down. And I looked at it, and it was probably from 10 years ago, maybe. And I looked at it and went, I can do something with this. And I thought the lyrics were so potent. It needed to have potent music. It was not going to be a ballad. And that's how that song came about. And it's very simple musically, but it's really a guitar piece. And on that guitar playing, I was trying to play with the same intensity and angst and anger that the lyrics contain, because the lyrics are pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's sort of like a primal scream.
Yes. And the album was done. It was March the 19th, and Marie was having a big party for a bunch of people at our house. And I got up in the morning and I said, there's something I have to do. And I'll be back. And I called Thomas, the engineer, and said, I got to go to the studio. Now the studio is an 1.5-hour drive from my house. I drove all the way up there, and on No Strings Attached, before the long solo after the second verse, I went, woo! That's what I did. And I think it sounds great on there, but that was 3 hours of driving to go, woo!
And not helping your wife with the...
Well, I cleaned up.
I thought it was worth it, though.
Yeah,
because when that really was a missing piece, such a small little detail. And at first, when you played it for me, I was like, is that the keyboard making that sound?
You know what? I even had guys in my band say, what is that? I said, that's me. So now when we do it live, and we'll do it tonight, I'm playing guitar and John Avila is going, woo!
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we put that in there. It's got to be there.
That's great. Lorraine says, happy release day, Walter. That's nice. Thank you. Lorraine works with it. Walter.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about that song, maybe you should talk about the other really kind of wild song on there, Struggle to Believe.
Struggle to Believe is another one that I found a couple lines of lyrics, which was, I struggle to believe the things they taught me back in school when I was young. I looked around and realized it was really not that way at all. And I wonder where and I know I learned it on that day. I'm going to have to go my own way. And that was another old line of lyrics I had written down. And I thought, boy, I can do something with this. And that's another one, believe it or not, I wrote it on an acoustic guitar. But as I kept writing the lyrics, I'm like, no, it's not an acoustic song. As a matter of fact, I want this to be bordering on heavy metal here, And an interesting thing when you listen to that song, let me tell you, we rehearsed it with the band. We had it down. We went in the studio, and then they said, well, what are we going to do in the middle? Are you going to play a solo over a verse? And I said, no, I want to experiment. I'm not going to tell you anything we're going to do in the middle. When we get to the middle, everybody play something, and we're going to jam, and we're going to see where we take it. And so that was totally free form, totally spontaneous. It was an experiment. Now, when you listen to it like this. We get to that point. I hit a low note on the guitar and I let it ring because I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. John Avila does the same thing on the bass. Mike Lazier comes in with this kind of jungle beat, and it happens quickly, but now you can hear John Avila and me and Teddy. We go, okay, we got it. We got the jungle beat, and we start building on it, and the more we build on it, the more we get like this together, and we build it up, and then they're looking at me like, how are we going to get out of this? And I wasn't sure either, so I just came in and sang the first line of the last verse. I sang it, the line, and then they jump in. But that was completely free form, spontaneous. It was an experiment. And it was really exciting.
This is what happens a lot live too, right?
Yes.
Where things just build. And so the reason Walter doesn't necessarily play the songs exactly like they are on the album is to have that engagement with them. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, I think that's a perfect statement. Live, I sort of think of the songs as just a foundation for us to play on, and hopefully it'll be a little different every night. I don't really give a lot of direction. I hire these guys because they play great, and we play great together. And I kind of let them find their own way with the songs.
There's been a couple of questions about people, if you knew Rory Gallagher, and did you ever meet Hendrix? I don't know if you want to.
Well, I did meet Rory Gallagher, and I did a show with him in Bonn, Germany, at a thing called the Biscuit Halle. It was the Bonn Blues Fest, and he was near the end of his life, and he was, had liver problems, and he was very bloated and swelled up, and he was in the dressing room, and you could tell he didn't feel good. And so we talked a little, and he was really nice, but he was in bad shape. He was near the end of his life. But then he went on and played for 3 hours. It was the most inspirational thing I had ever seen. He played incredible. So that was an awesome thing. And as far as Hendrix, I didn't meet him, but I stood 5 feet from him in Philadelphia and watched him play. And the only problem, and I'll be honest here, was I was heavily hallucinating, and I don't remember much about it, but I was about 10 feet away from him. He might have been hallucinating too. But
it was a sign of those times.
It was a sign of, I think it was 1969 or 70 or something. But yeah, those were the good old days.
I never thought about that with Rory Gallagher. I was there at that show in Bonn.
Yeah. Yes.
But I know you were so moved and impressed and inspired by that. But then years later, you had liver problems, and you were distended and full of fluid and muscle wasting and really, really sick. And you went on tour and tried your very, very best. Maybe there was a subconscious or
it could be, but I also went on tour, and you and I discussed this. I figured I was going to die, and I'm going to go out and do one last tour. I had to sit on a chair. I had body cramps and hand cramps, so I couldn't play bar chords. I couldn't bend the string, but I gave it my best shot.
All right. There is a question here. Are you developing David Texter? And good night, Kent from Denmark. David Texter, are you developing songs the same today as you did years ago? Give an example from the new album. Thanks.
I've always I don't really have a process. Yeah, is there some water around? I don't have a process for writing tunes. It's they kind of pop up. Sometimes it's a line of lyrics set me off. Sometimes I have a melody in my head. There's Oh, here we go. Look out. If we put ice in this, then I get wacky. Look out. Thank you. There's a song on the new album called Mona Lisa Smile, and that came to me in a dream. I heard the song in a dream, somebody playing it, and I jumped up out of the bed, and the whole first verse of Mona Lisa Smile was in the dream. The rest of it was there, but I couldn't remember it, so I wrote the rest of the tune. But I don't have a process, and sometimes I'll get writer's block and I can't get any of it. And there was an album I did some years ago where I'm supposed to write an album and I couldn't come up with anything. I'm like, am I out of things to say? And then I wrote a song called Don't Worry About It If You Ain't Got a Thing to Say. And that became the first song I wrote. And then it opened up me to, okay, here we go. But sometimes music, sometimes lyrics, sometimes both. But it's a crapshoot, man. They just come out of the air, you know?
Yeah, and I also think sometimes you open for it. Like you're going to write an album, you open up the door to the inspiration. And from my perspective, it can be a bit of a mixed blessing because Walter will hear TV, he'll hear me, he'll hear some of our kids talking, and everything turns into a potential lyric or a potential inspiration for a song. And so he gets a little distant during those times. And thankfully, from my point of view, the songwriting mode is not always active because it's almost like when you do open it up, then that's...
I actually don't want it to be active all the time. I'm not one of those guys who I go on tour and I sit in my room and write songs, because when I get into that zone, when I open it up, I'm not on the planet, you know. And when it's time to write an album and I'm going to start, she says to me, okay, I'll see you in a couple of weeks, because I'm walking around like this, you know.
They're in the flesh only. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have to get into a certain zone and I open myself up, and then I'm really sort of out of touch with reality, you know, and I don't mind that. I used to spend a lot of money in my youth to be out of touch with reality.
But thank God it's temporary, you know, because it is
somewhat temporary.
Well, that's another talk altogether. Here's a good comment from Rove, however, from the Netherlands. I saw you 3 times in the Netherlands in the last 10 years, way different periods with a way different kind of Walter. Loved them all. Can't wait to see you in November in Hengelo.
Good. Great. Well, I look forward to getting back to the Netherlands. I love playing there, and that's the country really that gave me that kind of major hit I had back in 1990. My big I'm a one-hit wonder, and that was the country that started it with that song, The Love That We Once Knew. You know, no, 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 no. That song. So yeah, I'll see you in the Netherlands, dude.
Mr. Lee Friend is also asking if, like Buddy Guy, you see yourself still playing and making albums at 90.
I can honestly say this. As long as I'm able to do this, I will do this, because I'm driven and I love it. And it keeps me kind of feeling young. It keeps me feeling like I have a purpose. I still feel like I do have something I want to say. So if I make it to 90 and I can still do it, I will. I hope so. And God bless Buddy Guy he just put out a new album and he's 90 years old. You know, what an awesome guy. Buddy Guy, awesome guy.
Well, it won't be too long before we're going to start wrapping up. George is asking your harmonica playing. When did you start? How did you get? I
actually played harmonica before I played the guitar. I mean, seriously. What was I in 7th grade? I got a harmonica and learned how to play "Love Me Do." And I thought I was badass, man. I could play "Love Me Do." And also the harmonica back then was 50 cents and a guitar was $100, you know. But, and I actually, for a little while, I was I was in a band in Collingswood for a little while, and I was the front man and harmonica player, and I was trying to be Paul Butterfield. But then I realized I'd much rather be Mike Bloomfield. And because I never really put in the time on the harmonica. I learned the licks pretty quickly. And I will say for 3 years, I was the harmonica player in Canned Heat. So I have done it. Now, people ask me, why don't you play it more live? And here's my problem. It takes a lot of air, a lot of wind. And at 74, I don't have it. And after I play a short harmonica solo, I'm ready to fall over and pass out. Now, my old buddy, Jimmy Trout, if you remember, my best buddy who's gone now, who was the bass player in my band, he asked me that once, why don't you play more harmonica? And I said, Jimmy, I just ain't got the wind. And he said, I know you well. You maybe ought to try playing it with your ass. You know? That's a Jimmy quote, you know. But yeah, I know the licks, man. I just the hyperventilation kind of knocks me out. Now, last night and tonight, we had the fellow who I think is currently the greatest harp player on the face of the earth. Young Mr. Will Wild has come all the way over from England to play with us here at the Big Blues Bender, or as some of you out there call it, the Big Booze Blender.
Yeah, and some of the women were fainting when he came on stage.
Yeah, he's on another level than any other harmonica player I've ever heard. He's frightening.
Here's a question that was also asked on social media, so I think we should include it for sure. It's a good question. Pat Folio, what makes you decide to make a song an instrumental instead of adding lyrics to it?
I have a couple of instrumentals. I have one I think is one of my most well-known pieces of music, and it's called Marie's Mood. And it's a guitar piece. And I've had critics tell me they think it's the most beautiful guitar instrumental and all this. But I can tell you, I wanted lyrics, and it was written for Marie when she was pregnant with our second child. And she was having a lot of complications, and we didn't know if the child was going to make it or not. And there's 2 sections in there. The A section is our anxiety, our worry, our concern. The B section of Marie's Mood is the hope for the future. But anyway, I had a line of lyrics. Marie is feeling, and that's all I had. And I thought, the seriousness of the situation that we were in with her, you know, tough pregnancy, I couldn't really find lyrics that could convey that. And I thought I could convey it better by just playing the melody on the guitar. And so that's what I did. And I did that again with Through the Eyes of Love. I had it went, through the eyes of love is the way that I look at you. It's all I had. And so I'm going to play it on the guitar. And then on Broken, I had one called Love of My Life. Same thing. It's not, you know, I don't set out to make them instrumentals. I would like to have lyrics, but some of them, the lyrics don't come. The lyrics just don't do justice to the mood of the music.
Well, words are limiting sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? And music can say things better. So that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Especially those kind of feelings that are hard to even put into words. There's a question about how your son John is doing. That is our son John. So
our son John is doing wonderful. And he got up and played with me last night, and he'll be with me again tonight. And there's a video out there on Facebook, a live video of us doing the song We're All in This Together. And anything I threw at that kid, he played it right back at me and more. So he's up there kicking ass right now.
And he tours with you.
And he's on tour with me. Yes.
This tour in the U.S. and the next tour in Europe.
In October and November.
He'll be hanging out.
And I'm very moved in that he recently received his master's degree in music from the Royal Conservatory of Music in Denmark. And then he said, well, now that I've got a master's degree in music, I just want to go out and rock and roll with Dad. And that's just awesome. You know, that's so he's up there playing and killing it every night.
Yeah. And for me, it's just very moving to have the two of you out there together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I know.
So I think it's time for us to wrap up. Do you have any final words about the album, about the tours coming up?
Well, could I?
Yeah, of course.
Davis Music.
Okay.
Thank you, Walter, for taking the time to talk to me after a show years ago. You gave me great hope to keep playing guitar after suffering a heart attack. You gave me great hope and advice. David Music, your comment there means the world to me. And thank you. I'm going to lose it here. That makes all of this worthwhile. If my music can help people, because that's what I want to do. I want to help people, you know. So thank you for that.
I think that's a perfect end. Thank you so much for joining us, for being a part of this, and for your support. It means the world to us. And and hope you enjoy the new album. And thank you for coming from all areas of the world. I saw Canada, Denmark, the Netherlands. I saw a person from Russia, of course, the U.S. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you know, I'm still going. I'm 74. I feel like I'm 24. And I will keep doing this as long as I can. And I just appreciate you still listening to me and coming out to my shows after all these years. It means the world to me because this is who I am. This is my life. And I'm just here. I just want to give my best to you.
All right.
Thank you.
Be well.